Welcome to Don't Do Disney
Without Us.
My name's Daniel.
And my name is Zach.
And welcome back to our little show. This is a show where we like to talk about all things Disney, talk about the theme parks, talk about the movies, talk about Disney Plus.
Talk about everything but the sports.
Everything except the sports. We're not very sporty people, are we?
That's not even necessarily a true statement anymore.
Is shopping a sport? Because we're quite good at that. I feel if there was a contest for shopping, we could probably place. You know, I don't think I wouldn't be so arrogant as to say we would win, but we could definitely place.
Well, I would win. You hate shopping.
I do. I hate shopping. That's not true. I shop online. I know exactly what it is I want, and then I just don't like.
You don't like going to malls.
Right. Exactly. I like catalogs. You know, which web is the modern day catalogs, right? Anyway, this is a little show where we like to talk about all those things. We are so glad that you're here. Season 2, episode 4. It says so right there on the top of my script. And today we're going to talk about what we did this past week in the universe of Disney. We went to EPCOT.
Yes.
When was it? April 2nd?
April 2nd, yes.
It's a Sunday, right?
Sunday, yes.
April 2nd, we went to EPCOT to
see the final showing of Harmonious.
Boo.
R.I.P. Gone too soon. I will never stop saying that.
So I think Harmonious is perhaps the best show they've ever done on Disney property. And
on the entirety of property, not just at EPCOT?
I mean, outside of spectacles, right? Like when I was a kid, they had the bicentennial fireworks at Walt Disney World back in 1976.
Okay.
I was 9, but I remember they let us out around the World Showcase, not the World Showcase, around the Seven Seas Lagoon. We were all along the beaches on the Seven Seas, and there were people with kites flying, water skiers with kites with rocket, fireworks on the back of them that were flying in, and parachuters and all kind of fireworks. It was crazy. It was a huge, blowout for the bicentennial. But, other than that, yeah, I think Harmonious is, as far as the nighttime offerings at any of the any of the Disney parks that I've seen, I would say Harmonious by far and away the best nighttime show.
That could potentially be a controversial comment on the internet.
I don't care. It's all about personal taste. Hey, here's the thing. The music in Harmonious was amazing. By the way, you can still get it on Spotify. I encourage you to go and listen to the Harmonious album on Spotify. If you've never heard the Harmonious music, it's great.
It does not include the opening and closing narrations, which I'm a little sad about.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack itself is all there.
Soundtrack is there. And I felt like the hated barges provided something that we desperately needed in Florida, which is water screens. Whatever the reason, I don't know the scientific reason behind this, but in California, when they do a water screen, it's nice and crisp. It looks really good when they project things on it. Here in Florida, and my suspicion is it's the humidity in the air that it makes our water droplets bigger, and so we don't get that lovely mist. You know what I'm saying? We don't get the quiet movie screen. We kind of get, oh, look, it's a movie being projected on water. I was saying. So
you're saying that when we've gone to see, say, Fantasmic, which we haven't seen, we might have missed some parts.
Oh, that was bad. What I am trying to say is that this overcomes that by having huge, LED, I don't know what the actual technology is. It's not LEDs, it's lights, but to have those huge jumbotrons out in the World Showcase Lagoon effectively makes it so that they can do those projections as lovely as they do in California. So you had that. You had the arms with the crazy lights, and at one point in the show, they actually shoot at you with fireworks. It was just, that show had everything. That show was great.
It is a little unnerving right at the end when they do the comets around the World Showcase and they come out from the edges. And if you're standing near the edge, it's a little...
it'll scare you.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, what was that? No, I thought Harmonious was great. So which begs the question, why did they get rid of it?
We don't know. And we'll likely never know. Disney has not come out and publicly said a reason for why Harmonious was canned.
And I don't think it has anything to do with the people not liking it. I don't think Harmonious was at a lack of, fan
No, everyone I have talked to, and granted, it's a very small subsection of people on the internet and in the parks, have said that they loved Harmonious.
Yeah, they hate the barges, but they love Harmonious.
Yes.
I'm one of those people that doesn't hate the barges. Why are you looking at the lagoon? Look at the pavilions. You don't need to look at the lagoon. Just spoiler alert, if you ever go to Japan and you try to go to that archway, there won't be a spaceship Earth over there. It'll probably be something out in the water that's not pretty. But I didn't hate the barges as much as everyone else. But so I heard rumors, maybe it's the maintenance, maybe it was just really hard to maintain those things. Like there's costing.
There were a lot of moving parts and a lot of electrical parts and maybe some hydraulics and lights and plumbing and
I think the other reason may be that show was kind of designed to be optimally viewed from one angle.
I.e., on top of that 3-story festival center that was supposed to have been built before COVID happened and upended the entire world.
Yeah. And so maybe they should address that, right? Because people felt like they needed to be in that center section between the two stores in EPCOT.
Or next to the amphitheater in America.
Right. People felt like, I need to be where I can get a clear shot of that. And let me tell you, we watched it last time. We watched it in Norway. We could not really see the chapa eye, as we call it, the centerpiece. It was kind of off to a tilt, but we couldn't really see it. Still a great show. Still a great show.
No, and honestly, once you've seen the show a few times and have seen the projections in the center ring, they cease to add anything to the show. And honestly, I don't even remember what the projections in the center ring are at this point, or were.
They add on to, so every, there's 4 quadrants of Harmonious. Well, there were, right? So you could, north, south, east, and west, you could watch them. Each one had their own set of 2 barges facing them. The ones that had the ring in the center, that ring just did a center. It enhanced the projections that were on the barges. So in the case where Pepita comes out during the Mexican set and her wings spread, oops, hit your mic. We saw the wings without seeing the center. We could just see the wings. If you were in the center, you would see Pepita's face, right? So there's nothing that was going to break the show, right? It was still a really good show no matter where you were. Anyway, so yeah, we don't know why Harmonious was shut down. If you do, let us know. If you know a definitive reason, or if you have some speculation that we didn't come up with, what was that? We believe that it's maintenance, or that people felt like they needed to glom into those 2 areas so much that they were like, this is going to be a problem. We should make it.
There's a loud subsection of people on various social media sites who believe that their complaints about the barges and guest complaints about the barges played heavily into this decision.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
That may be true in some capacity, but
it makes a great headline for a blog, a great clickbait. It's kind of like anytime that you talk about the Star Wars Hotel and you make sure you include the word struggling in front of it. The struggling horror Star Wars, even though there's no evidence that it's actually struggling. Sorry. I just went off on a tangent. Anyway, so yeah, we went April 2nd to see Harmonious. We had a great viewing of it. The weather was lovely. The skies were clear. We had a great viewing of the show. We were not in one of those areas around the World Showcase where the speakers are so loud that they're distorted. Like we had good sound. We had a great, I thought it was a good send off for a great show.
Yes, and we had a couple new friends with us who saw it for I think the second time.
It's true.
Second and final time.
Our friends from another podcast whose name escapes me. No, it's like,
what do you mean you've never seen?
What is that? What it's called? What do you mean you've never seen?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you mean you've never seen? I know it's without it being in front of me. This is very dangerous. I'll put it up on the screen if you're watching the video version of it. And
in the comments description down below.
Yeah, we'll link to them down below. Anyway, so we went. What did we do the next night, Zach?
We drove back to Disney.
We did, and I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a little restaurant at the Grand Floridian called Narcoossee's. It looks like a gazebo that kind of sits out on the water. You can see it from the monorail.
It's about the size of a gazebo too. A really large gazebo, but a gazebo.
It is a surprisingly small restaurant inside, yeah. But they have recently gone through a reimagining.
They were closed for all 6 months, if not longer, a year maybe.
Yeah. So we went and had a lovely dinner there. I think I had the scallops.
You did.
They were delicious. Even though I was like, and there were two dishes that I really wanted. But I remember the one that I got was great. So the scallops were really delicious. They also, there was what was the appetizer that we had? The risotto? No.
No, it was a
rigatoni. No.
It was a brisket and ricotta tortelloni.
Tortelloni.
Not tortellini. Yeah. Tortelloni.
And you had for your entree the redfish?
I had their special signature dish, which was the blackened redfish. Mm-hmm. We weren't super fans of the appetizer.
Yeah.
But the blackened redfish, which was designed by the manager on duty, actually. Mm-hmm. His name was Chris.
Yeah.
Was very good. And I would definitely go back again. We had drinks and a dessert. We had an almond crusted cheesecake and a couple of their drinks.
Yeah. Several drinks.
Yeah. We had 3.
Yeah.
But for an appetizer, 3 drinks, 2 entrees, and a dessert after annual pass discount and tip was like $250.
Yeah, just right at $250.
So obviously not cheap, but also
good.
Not as expensive as Disney signature restaurants can be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anytime you add alcohol into the mix at Disney,
right? Especially at Disney prices,
you're running
right. If you cut those drinks out, you're below $200 for a
signature
signature meal.
Yeah, well below. I was drinking, $14 glasses of wine, so I had 2 of those. So that was $28 plus your $15 cocktail. So yeah, you're well below.
So if you haven't been to Narcoossee's either pre or post reopening, I mean they literally just reopened April 1st. We would definitely recommend going.
We would.
For a special occasion.
Well, look at the menu on the app first and just say it's a very small menu. So just make sure that there's something on the menu that you definitely want.
They have something for everyone. They do lean heavily towards the seafood, but they are inspired by the land and the sea.
Ooh. So after we left our lovely dinner at Narcoossee's, we went over to the Magic Kingdom, and what did we do?
We stood on Main Street for an hour.
We stood on Main Street an hour talking to people.
Yes, we met some more very lovely people. And we were all there. Everyone on Main Street was there because after 2.5 years, 3 years? How long's?
I don't know.
After however long, 18 months, because the enchantment started on the first of the celebration.
I would give it that. Yeah, so 18 months. So after 18 months.
Happily Ever After 2.0 is at the Magic Kingdom.
And it's always scary when you hear things like 2.0, like, oh, what did they change? What did they do? The main show is unchanged.
Yes.
They've added some stuff.
They added some projections along Main Street, inspired by the ones from Enchantment.
Yeah, and I wasn't wild about the projections on Main Street. They're hard to see because we were on Main Street. So we stood a bit back on Main Street so that we could see those projections as well as see the castle. I wasn't a huge fan of the ones on Main Street. I mean, they were okay, but they weren't.
They are themed to the section of the show that is they're an extension of the projections on the castle. Yeah.
So whatever section you're in, the Toy Story would have blocks and stuff like that. But they weren't as crisp. They didn't, and maybe that's just because you're so close to them and, they become crisper from afar. I don't know.
Maybe we'll have to see it from, the train station and see if that enhances it at all.
So what did you think of Happily Ever After returning?
I cried. I cried at the end of Harmonious. I cried at the beginning of Happily Ever After, just because Disney really does do nighttime spectaculars incredibly well. And I don't know if my emotion level was amplified by it just being a really good show or if there was something in the air. I mean, there were lots and lots and lots and lots of people on Main Street, and the roar when the show started was very loud.
Yeah, there was an energy to it. There was these were definitely people welcoming back, on top of the spring break crowds that were there. Yeah. These were a lot of annual pass holders, a lot of Disney fans that were there to welcome back Happily Ever After. And to the nighttime show stuff. I mean, I do occasionally think to myself how lucky we are that we do live in a place that does nighttime shows to this level, right? It kind of ruins fireworks anywhere else in the country. when you go to New York City for July 4th and they have the Macy's Thanksgiving Day or the Macy's July 4th fireworks in New York City, you're like, all right. I mean, they're okay. But, it's like Disney just has Disney owns nighttime shows and around the world. And so just great. I haven't seen the ones at Universal though.
We haven't.
Yeah.
Maybe when Epic Universe opens and we go a year and a half later to avoid the stupidly large crowds, we'll see it.
Yeah, maybe when they don't base it on Harry Potter, I'll go and see it. So, or maybe J.K. Rowling could die. Anyway, the Happily Ever After came back, and was that a hot take? Was that hot? We went and saw Happily Ever After, and I had a great time. You had a great time, right? The Kingdom stayed open later that night, so we didn't immediately try to rush out.
We milled around for a while to let the crowds disperse because we were parked at the Grand Floridian, which normally we would walk back to, but the walkway is under refurbishment. I don't know what they're doing to it.
They're not.
It's a slab of concrete.
They're refurbing that last building, all the rooms in there, and that cuts into the construction zone. Because it's a 4-story building, things could fall onto that walkway, so that's why it's all blocked off there.
So we had to wait for transportation back to the Grand Floridian.
Well, I mean, which, in the form of a boat. That wasn't fun. I mean, that wasn't bad. We had a lovely boat ride at the end of the evening. Anyway, so I loved Happily Ever After. We had a conversation with the folks that we saw Harmonious with afterwards, and we're talking about how you expect each show to kind of up the bar a little bit. And I feel like that was the reason that Enchantment wasn't as liked, because Enchantment really upped no bars. It was a reusing of the technology that we had just seen in Happily Ever After, right? When you follow the evolution of Magic Kingdom fireworks, right? You go from fantasy in the sky to, we got a couple of lasers plus fantasy in the sky to, now we have close-up fireworks and lasers and, stuff back behind the castle to, now we have a whole story in the form of wishes, right? We have a whole, scored story instead of it just being a collection of songs with fireworks. Now there's a story, there's a narrator, there's something lovely about that. And then we up the game yet again with Happily Ever After, where we added projections onto the castle along with the fireworks and the lasers and the narration and the story. And then Enchantment really just played on that, right? It didn't add anything new, didn't bring anything new to the game. Harmonious brought, the upgraded water screens and water jets and lights and, low down fireworks and things and just cool effects out in the World Showcase Lagoon, right? That it brought that from the spinning globe of Millennium Celebration. But I'm hoping whatever they bring next will again
innovate and update and
drones. Give me drones at Animal Kingdom. Drones. Anyway,
anywhere but just drones.
So I feel like that's maybe why Enchantment didn't get the love that it deserves. So it was really great to see Happily Ever After again. It's such a great show. I feel like when we were at Disneyland, I'm going to go off on a tangent here for a second, but when we were at Disneyland, one of the things I didn't like about the show at the Kingdom there, which granted we didn't see in person, we watched a YouTube video because they weren't going to do pyrotechnics that night, so we still wanted to see it, so we watched it on YouTube, a recording of it on YouTube. I feel like the projections on the castle in California for this latest show don't respect the architecture of the castle, and I think that's what works so great with Happily Ever After is that it's not just projecting a movie onto the castle. It is assuming the shape of the castle and then having the castle do fun things that seem impossible, right? So when the turrets of the castle are bouncing up and down during one of the songs, right? That's something that isn't really happening, but it's a play of the light, and because you know what I'm saying? But it's the right shape, and it kind of looks like, the castle is bouncing up and down. It's a really cool effect, as opposed to in Enchantment where we're just projecting a shadow on the castle of, the fairy godmother spinning her wand and everything. If you've never watched the video version of the show, I talk with my hands a lot. Zach's over here just like backing up. It's like, is he going to hit me with... Anyway, enough about that. Happily Ever After was great. We had a great time.
You emphasize by clapping a lot, and I need you to.
I do
to not.
And then,
I'm going to add one thing just because I saw somebody complaining about this on the internet.
Yeah.
If you went to Happily Ever After's re-premiere and you're upset because people were singing along to it, you picked the wrong night to go. That was going to happen.
I feel like any given night, there could be people singing along with it.
But especially on the on the debut night.
But why be upset about people singing along with the soundtrack? The soundtrack is loud enough that you can hear it over people singing. I mean, it's like it's not an issue of shush, I can't hear. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely hear it. I feel like it's a petty thing, like somebody going to a Taylor Swift concert and screaming out the songs, whatever. It's a thing. People get excited. Music touches people in different ways, and people express that in different ways. And come on, people, let's get along.
Anyway,
even those who emphasize with their hands,
stop it.
So we are 1 week away. I just realized that. We are 1 week away from the Run Disney Springtime Surprise Weekend at Walt Disney World, which is happening April 13th through the 16th, I think. This will be my very first 10K. I'm running in the Monsters, Inc. 10K. I'm going to be running that with my sister. Also, I have some friends from a podcast called Pod is My Co-Pilot in St. Pete that will be running the race also. So I'll be seeing them there. My co-host from my other podcast, Mix Minus, Adam, and his partner, Mark, are coming down to watch the race. So it's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of people here.
You're going to have a whole section of really tired people in the EPCOT parking
5 a.m.
lot.
in the morning going, hey, woo, cheering me on there.
Why am I not in bed?
So yeah, we got a great weekend. Like we're going over Wednesday night. So we're
taking a few days off, and we're giving them as close to the full and hopefully best Disney experience as we can. Yeah.
So we'll let you know on that, what the outsiders think about all this stuff.
The outsiders.
Outsiders. But we probably, our next episode may be late because we really realistically won't have a time to record or do anything till we get back into Tampa on Sunday. So maybe a little late on our next episode. So just to let you know. But if you're going to be at the Monsters, Inc. 10K, then definitely look for us. Say hi. And
Daniel may or may not be dyeing his hair and beard blue. We haven't decided that yet.
I kind of want to, but even any kind of dye that won't just immediately run out when I start sweating.
Right.
Is going to last for...
You need semi-permanent, not box color.
Right. But that means that's going to... my hair will be blue for at least a month or so. And I mean, I'm not all that worried about it. I mean, I don't have a job where I face the public, right? I just face my coworkers, so no one would be shocked.
And even then, you're on a screen with them.
Yeah. All right, and then finally, for us to wrap this episode up with a nice little bow, kind of all over the map here, but
sometimes that happens.
Disney just announced today that the annual passes here in Florida will be going back on sale on April 20th for a limited time. So if you are someone who does not have your Florida resident annual pass and you are really wanting to get it, or if you want the Incredipass, which I believe is the one that it doesn't require.
That is the one that is unfortunately, and I kind of hate that they do this, you have to get the most expensive one if you live out of state.
Right. So just to get you caught up in case you're not, currently the only pass you can buy is the Pixie Pass. This is the $3.99 pass, I believe. It may be a few dollars more. Maybe prices went up, but I believe it's around $3.99. It's severely restricted, like no weekends. You pretty much can't go to the parks on any weekends.
No weekends. Yeah. I think the entire summer. I mean.
But you know what? If you work in the service industry where you normally work on the weekends and you have weekdays off instead of weekends, it's a great pass to have to go there. But that's the only pass that you can currently get is just the Pixie Pass. So going back on sale will be the Pirate Pass, which I believe only really has summer blocked out. So it's kind of like Easter, Christmas, and summer that are blocked out.
Yeah.
Sorcerer has just Easter and Christmas blocked out, so you get your summer back with Sorcerer Pass. The Incredipass, does it have blackout?
It does not have days that are blocked out, but like to prevent the legal issues that they
You have
had
to
in
make a park
California.
reservation,
They mentioned that it is reservation-based availability. You can make a park pass on any day of the year.
Yeah.
If you wait too long and you are unable to make a park pass, you can't sue Disney over it.
Yeah. And in Florida, starting on April 18th, you as a pass holder can go to a park after 2 p.m. Any day without a reservation, except for the Magic Kingdom on Saturday and Sunday.
And honestly, that's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, so those are going back on sale, and they're going to go back on sale April 20th. So if you're someone who has been waiting to get one of these passes, make sure that you are ready to go on April 20th, because they are not going to stay on sale for long. And I have a theory about this, because I know a lot of people are very annoyed.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, that was...
Go ahead.
There was a bit of discussion amongst some folks on the internet today about how that creates FOMO when there doesn't need to be FOMO, because Disney wants to lock you into having your money, even if you don't necessarily need the pass.
I disagree. See, and this is my theory about this whole thing. Like if I were given the assignment at work, we need to figure out a way to have our pass holders, there are people that use, let me back up a little bit. There are people that use our pass holding system, right? That absolutely spend money here at the park. They eat dinner at the park. They buy drinks at the park. They go around, they buy merchandise.
They go to EPCOT and spend lots of money and don't leave
on
the front of the park.
artwork. Yeah, it's like, so they, there's definitely pass holders out there that spend money, and that we want to keep those pass holders coming to our parks because they spend money. But there are also some pass holders out there that just kind of automatically buy a pass. Like they don't really go to Disney all that often. Maybe they go, 5 days a year, 6 days a year, just enough so that the pass is worth it to buy the pass. But they have no intention on coming over to Disney multiple times to patronize their restaurants or their shops or whatever. They're at best, they're going to come at 5 or 6 days out of the year. And the worst part about those is that, that can happen at any time. Those 5 or 6 days can happen at any time. So they're kind of unpredictable, and they don't really make as much money for the park as if people that were coming in from out of town without a pass were to take their place for those days. We would definitely be better off as a company. So the question and the problem that they had to solve was, how do you get rid of the people, the casual pass holders, and make sure that the people that are buying the passes are the people that are going to come and patronize your park more during the year? I know that sounds counterintuitive, but coming to the park more means you're going to spend money more at the park, right? So how do we make sure that this is an incentive for those people to come and spend money with us, while at the same time disincentivizing those people that just use it for the sake of escaping paying admission to the park, right? Or getting a discount on admission to the park. So if I had to come up with a way to do that, my answer would be, you create a scarcity. You create it so that when the passes go on sale, they go on sale and go off sale very quickly, which means that the people who really want to go to the parks a lot, the people that really are going to benefit from them, are going to be the ones that snatch them up. Because those casual people that buy them once a year are going to get frustrated. They're going to already have their 5 or 6 day. They'll just buy a 5-day pass or whatever they're going to do, or they'll go to Universal. It doesn't matter where they do. That's not important. The important part is that you don't want them abusing your pass system. And I hate to say abusing. I know that you just saw that the thing dimmed. It's fine. It's fine. So that's my personal opinion. If you have a separate opinion about that, or if you have a theory about why Disney would do this, then absolutely let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment down below. If you're listening to us audio only, or you can always email us, don'tdodisney@gmail.com, and let us know. We'll be happy to have a conversation about it.
There is a wide and varied discussion around the annual pass programs on both coasts. And
we have no inside knowledge. This is just me speculating as to, well, if I were to do this, right? If my goal was to get rid of the people abusing the system and yet keep the system in place for those that were using it, this would be how I would do it. So that's just my 2 cents worth. All right, let's wrap this up with our heroes and villains of the week. We started with villains last time, so we will start with heroes today. You started last time, so I will start today. My hero, Bob Iger, in the conference call, the stockholder conference call, was asked about Avengers coming to Florida, and his answer was, we would love to have the Avengers in Florida. And that's all he said. I thought that was great.
So he largely sidestepped the question, didn't he?
You know what? He didn't say what you would expect him to say, which is, well, with the licenses that we have in place, that we're, that's just not something that we can do. He said, we would love to have the Avengers in play. He didn't say anything bad. You know what? It's like, I know that agreement goes into perpetuity, but it's not free. They do have to pay for it every year. And Disney has the right, has the ability to raise those prices slightly every year that they're having to pay. So I guarantee you, Disney is raising them to the maximum amount they can every year. At some point, Universal will get tired of paying that money for little return. So I feel like, it's a good thing to have, especially when you have your major competitor that is currently sinking billions of dollars in building a new theme park and may not be so cavalier with their excess cash. Anyway, Bob Iger, hero of the week. Who's your hero?
Just the return of Happily Ever After and the real sense of community that standing on Main Street in that crowd actually really does make you feel.
It does.
I know theme parks and theme park fandom can be tense and toxic and angry and, but standing in that crowd on that night with all those people who were there for the exact same reason, just really does kind of make you feel a sense of community.
Well, my villain of the week was going to be Harmonious ending, but I've changed my mind now that you've just talked about Happily Ever After. My villain of the week is the gentleman standing in front of us at Happily Ever After who decided to put his young daughter on his shoulders
2 minutes before the show.
And then on and off during the show. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this for the people in the back. When you put your child on your shoulders, you become a 10-foot obstruction to everyone behind you. It is rude as hell, and it's just absolutely uncalled for. Hold your child next to you at your head height so that they can see, you can see, and more importantly, everyone else behind you can see.
Especially those of us who are a little on the short side.
I get that your children are important and they mean the world to you, but they don't mean crap to me. And I'm sorry, but I paid just as much as you did to be there, and I would like to watch the show without you becoming a 10-foot tall minute. And the worst thing about it is they're stealthy. It's just like, you don't know who they are until the damn show starts. But anyway,
right.
Sir. Yes, you.
I was standing there, and he was taller than me, but I could still see over him. Yeah. And then one of the people we were talking to poked me in the shoulder and was like, hey. And then suddenly there's a kid on the shoulders. And I'm like, if I were a lesser person, I would knock that child off your shoulders so fast.
I feel like I should get a bullhorn, but it will do no good. Who was your villain of the week?
Harmonious ending, because it didn't need to end this quickly. It was an amazing show. And if Harmonious had to die for Happily Ever After to come back, I'm not sure I agree with that trade.
You know what?
They're both good shows, but
I am an optimist. I am looking forward to what they give us next at a nighttime show at EPCOT. I hope that it raises the bar. I hope that it's amazing. And I have no reason to believe that it won't be. So I'm going to just put my trust in those Imagineers that the next show at EPCOT is going to be fabulous.
You could be really cynical and say that Bob Chapek had a hand in both Harmonious and Happily Ever After, and he got fired. So
because that is the CEO's job, is to score and choreograph the fireworks for the nighttime shows. And Bob Iger's just better at it. Anyway, if you want to reach out to us, you can do so. Our email address is don'tdodisney@gmail.com. You can leave a comment on our video if you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify. And if you're listening on audio, then I've already said that, and I feel like I'm just now repeating myself. But what is left for me to say?
Oh, we have other social media accounts. We have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and also TikTok. And we're learning how to use TikTok. So if our videos suck, sorry in advance, except not really sorry because we're learning and we'll get better. Thanks.
Yeah, but you can find us on all of those platforms with our normal handles. And also the information is in the doobly-doo if you're watching on YouTube. Anyway, all that is left for me to say is to please, please, please don't do Disney
without us.